Hello, everyone. I'm back from Pakistan. I'm back home in Kenya. Pakistan was amazing. We got to see thousands of people healed, thousands of deliverances, thousands of miracles. It was great. We spent 9 days out there on a crusade. Day one, over 2,000 people. We got to see blind eyes open, deaf ears open, and some people regrow body parts and limbs and things. It was great. um, I have some footage of that y'all will see in time. But yes, I'm back home, which means I'm back at work. So, or let's just say a different type of work. Today, I want to talk to you about immersion. When discussing spirituality, similar to discussing physical fitness, you usually have the fanatics that kind of cling to a certain angle, or they have the naive belief that if I focus one thing, I can get that one thing. And it doesn't necessarily work that way. Spiritual leaders and coaches or personal trainers will mirror the sentiment when I say it's much easier for you to be healthy overall than it is for you to focus one body part. I want strong arms. I want abs. Abs is something you hear a lot in the fitness world. I want abs. I want a six pack. It's like, well, it's kind of hard to isolate that. It's much easier if you were just healthy overall. If all of you was fit, you'd have that plus some other things. Comparing that to spirituality, the same remains true. I have people that's like, I want to see, I want to feel, I want to heal, I want to do miracles. And I'm like, well, there's ways to train that on its own, sure, but won't necessarily lead to the magnitude that you're looking for. It's much easier to be spiritual overall, to be spiritually healthy overall. And that leads to not just what you're looking for, but you bump into things you weren't necessarily training because it's just a byproduct of a healthy life. So, to be transparent, I don't have a series, I don't have a regiment that I live by that makes it to where it's easy for me to that makes it to where I do this for this many days and that produces miracles. I do this for this many hours a day and then that turns into healing. I do this for this amount of time and then that turns into something else. It's not like that. That's not how I live my life. That's not how I train. That's not how I focus. Instead, I live a lifestyle that is immersed in spirituality, which means anything related to spirit I can tap into much easier than if I was just focusing one manifestation. Because this is how you have people who can prophesy but can't heal. They can heal, but they can't prophesy. It's because they're focusing on one thing rather than the overall health of the system. So, what my encouragement to all of you is to let yourself be immersed. Practice awareness. I've spent a lot of time getting to know many of you over the past year, and most of you are trying way too hard because you still have it's a mix of things. Some of you have main character syndrome, where you believe that you're supposed to master things the first time that you try them and that you're going to be the best that ever was once you get a thing. And that's not true. Most people aren't prodigies. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the word prodigy. Like everything else, it takes time, it takes cultivation, it takes a new culture overall. So, what I experience a lot is people who want to maintain the culture that they have, the lifestyle that they have already, and just somehow tack spiritual gifts and abilities on top of it. And that is dysfunctional. It doesn't really work that way. At least you're not going to get that from me. I'll be honest. Because I'm more interested in your overall spiritual development than I am in your specific training of a specific gift of or ability. Because I know if the system is healthy overall, not only will you have gifts and abilities, but you'll have the ones you're not even fighting for just because it's a byproduct of immersion. When I started my journey out, I was just spending intentional time I said at least an hour a day, I think is fair. Just to be in the royal family's presence, just to hear from them, just to be with them. If I see something great, if I hear something great, I just need to be around y'all. And I would give at least an hour a day of letting myself get used to their presence, getting used to their power, their frequency, their voice, their essence. Then there came a moment after doing that for, let's just say, a year. There came a moment where Yeshua told me, hey, don't meet with us at 10 p.m. anymore. Get rid of your alarms. I said, why? He said, I don't want this to just become a routine, a chore. You do this at 10 p.m. Says, let your actual compassion and your actual hunger for us bring you into encounter with us. So I removed those alarms because I used to meet at 10 p.m. every day. I removed those alarms and I stopped meeting at 10, and then changed my perspective, because it's not just, okay, they only meet with me at this specific time that I set. They're actually available all day. So it got me into a space where I'm always anticipating a conversation with them, some insight, their presence, hearing something, seeing something, feeling something. It created an anticipation because it's no longer locked between this specific hour that I have. So whether I gave them an hour or not, the framework then became that interaction with them is just my life. It's not time locked. So that's how I was able to be at work, working with customers and still having conversations with them, or learning things about heaven, experiencing the heavens while off doing other things on earth, is because I realized that I don't have to stop one to experience the other. At the same time, I maintained my consistency. I still was doing something every day. A little bit every day led to a lot over time. I didn't start out, it wasn't, I spent 3 months getting to know them. And then after those 3 months, I came out and I was the most powerful person on the planet. I was doing miracles, prophesying, and the rest. I was not. That was just my beginning part, but I didn't know how to use anything yet. I didn't understand much yet. I wasn't a revelator yet. I was having experiences. I knew who I was talking to, but I wasn't healing yet. I got good at that around, or at least I started doing that mainly around 2018. So let's just say pretty much a year later is when I actually started seeing results that benefited other people. A year of consistency. So y'all look at me now, a decade later, it's a byproduct of a decade of consistency, of immersion. If you listen to some of my old teachings, you might be able to find on Patreon, because I used to teach, like, I've been in ministry for 12 years. Most of what I was doing was off camera because this was before COVID, when everything was just on the internet. I never had the desire to be on camera. I don't even like being on camera. So I wasn't a content creator. I still barely consider myself a content creator. But I'm saying that just to say that there was a lot that I was experiencing around that time that just wasn't recorded. But in just discussing the immersion aspect of it, 10 years of keeping my eyes open, keeping my ears open, and just maintaining the anticipation meant that more times than not, I experienced things that other people were overlooking. And I use the word overlooking because, again, a false expectation that people have is that they're expecting large, booming, dramatic experiences all the time. And it's not always that dramatic. Most spiritual experiences are very subtle, and you miss out on them if you're not paying attention. For example, while I was in Pakistan, we ended up visiting Taxila, which is one of the cities. There's a site there where the Apostle Thomas actually visited while he was in India. They have the palace of the king that he visited and some other things, right? It's a nice place. While we were there, we noticed that Stephen manifested. The same Stephen you read about in the Bible. He showed up while we were there. And I noticed him standing off a little bit of a distance away from the group. I'm like, huh. Here I am expecting to see Thomas, and Stephen shows up. Well, as we're leaving, I asked one of the apostles we were traveling with, James, I asked him, I said, hey, did you see Stephen? He immediately busts out laughing. He says, I saw someone manifest, but I didn't know who it was. It was a very subtle experience, easily overlooked. I even like to describe seeing in the spirit kind of like using your peripheral vision. Now, it's not always direct. It can become super visible and super tangible, but don't always expect that, because that kind of trains you in a weird way. The spirit world is very subtle. So it causes you to rely on patience. It requires you to really honor the little bit. Powerful verse comes to mind as it relates to this. It says, despise not small beginnings. Many of you don't give yourselves the grace to grow into a thing. You want it to just turn on and be flooded. He's like, all right, I did my 10 minutes of meditation. I opened my eyes and I saw the cosmos. I saw everything in all of reality. It's not going to happen. Instead, you'll notice that as you experience one thing and you honor the interaction, that you see a little bit more and then a little bit more. Next thing you know, you found yourself surrounded in mystical experiences. It's subtle, but doesn't have to take long. You move at the speed of honor. But overall, it's all about immersion. Again, just as I open this topic with, I don't have a specific regiment that I live by. You know, I pray in tongues for 30 minutes a day, and then I make sure to study for 30 minutes a day. And then I go to the gym for 30 minutes a day. And then I don't have the Saitama regiment that some of you might be looking for. Instead, I cultivate your life. I give you access to things, and then in your own interests, in your own pursuit, out of your own hunger, you tap into it, and it just becomes a normal part of your life. So now you get to be as nonchalant as I am about a lot of these things. Something I was going to mention earlier is that if you listen to some of my older teachings, you'll hear me mention this thing called the blurred lines. And that was just my way of expressing the fact that I was simultaneously experiencing the physical world and the spiritual world at the same time. Now I use the phrase or the term triunion, which is physical, astral, and spiritual simultaneously. So for me, I don't have techniques. I don't have the perspective that leads to certain techniques that some of you are looking for. Because largely I consider a lot of it unnecessary. I don't have to leave my body in order to have an experience in the spirit world or the astral plane. So I don't really teach y'all to do it. Most of you don't want to leave your body, you just want the experience. But it's one of the awkward pockets we run into where the student wants to refine the teacher in order to get their experience a certain way. It's this awkward thing we run into sometimes. So let's just say this. In simply being spiritual, every day, all day, I don't have an off day, not for being spiritual at least. That consistency, that momentum built into everything I'm doing now. Teaching things that other people really aren't teaching, it really not in public at least. Accessing wisdom and revelation, power, not just, the secret things, but even the ability to demonstrate some of this stuff on camera. power, authority, character, wisdom. It's a byproduct. The interactions I have, seeing the cloud of witnesses regularly, seeing the royal family regularly, meeting with the seven spirits regularly. It's simply because I've been doing it for a decade. It's not about, even in this, it's not about earning anything. It's about getting familiar with stuff that's always around. It's changing your perspective, shifting your expectations, and honoring what you're getting. Some of you actually end up setting yourselves back because the interactions that you're having aren't the interactions that you want. So you're disrespecting them. Therefore, it doesn't grow. You're not hearing audibly yet, but you're getting very, very clear intuition seeming drops of information. You're like, no, that wasn't clear enough. I don't want it. That's often how hearing starts. You're like, I'm not seeing anything except for these little things here and there. I'm like, well, you're seeing little things here or there. You get used to seeing these things, you honor them, they grow, they expand. So I want you to know, if you simply live spiritual, Bible says the sons of God are those who are led by the Spirit of God. You actually live a spirit-filled, spirit-led, spirit-conscious life. You experience a lot of spiritual manifestations, and it's not hard to do. Which is why I teach a lot of this stuff the way that I do, because when tragedy arises, when negative situations arise, I don't want you to have to rely on me. What if I'm busy? I want you to be able to handle some of this stuff yourself. Someone dies, you're able to go raise them from the dead. Someone's sick, you're able to go heal them. Someone needs direction, you're able to prophesy into their situation and bring them a miracle. Or maybe it's something happening in your own life. I don't mind helping, but I'm only one person. What happens? Let's say 10 years from now, Cave of Mystery has 1 million people in it. Do you think I could talk to 1 million people in a day? You think I'm answering 1 million messages? Nah. No, not at all. Instead, the more people we get, the less available I'll end up becoming, just because it's too many of y'all. Which is also why I've been cultivating you all to be a bit more self-sufficient, giving you the same codes and things. The people who are in my 13-week mentorship course are starting to experience some of this. People who've taken some of my other classes or really just been implementing the things that I teach on YouTube or on Patreon have started seeing results. We see testimonies from people almost every day. Hey, I've been struggling with this for years, but I'm starting to see results. Some are like, it's not a lot, but it's finally something after it being nothing for years. Most people haven't known me for a year. So what I can say is that I don't promise anyone that they'll have instant manifestations. You won't instantly get where it took me a decade. Not promising you that. What I will give you is the same protocols, practices, and options that I use on a regular basis to maintain my spiritual life. And that I think is fair. So no, it's all about immersion. It's all about awareness. I'll give you a practice. Because you don't have to leave to experience spirituality or experience the royal family or to experience the seven or any of the stuff you hear me mention, change your perspective. They're not far away. They're close to you always. So it's as simple, this exercise is as simple as taking a moment to just try to tune in, begin to tune in to whoever it is you're speaking to or interacting with. If it's Yeshua, focus on Yeshua. All right, where are you around today? I know you're here. Begin to sense where he is. You begin to feel where he is. Allow yourself to get immersed in his space. Feel as much as you're able to feel. See what you can see. Sense what you can sense. Just give the focus. Just tuning in that moment. It's no different than being out in public and you go, you know what? I feel like somebody's watching me. Someone's looking at me. And you look around and you find some little kid staring at you off in the distance. It's the same game. Practicing awareness is the beginning of letting yourself be immersed. If he said he'll never leave you or forsake you, that means the issue isn't him being close. If we're willing to dogmatically say that everything is within, that means it's not far away. That means you need to get more comfortable experiencing this stuff. Let yourself have the experience. Don't try to control the experience. That's why I'm heavily against using the imagination for a lot of these experiences, because you don't have to paint the pictures. They paint themselves. You just got to look. You just got to be immersed. You just have to be aware. Hopefully this was encouraging for you. There's a lot of projects coming up. Will be announced soon. For those of you who are beginning your spiritual journey, you're beginning your sonship journey, as for now, the best place to begin with all of this stuff is in the playlist section of YouTube. There's a playlist there called Sonship and Mysticism Basics. There's also another playlist called Empire of Heaven. Both of those are beneficial. And for those of you wanting something a bit more complex, some deeper studies, you can visit the Patreon. There's a collection on there called Where to Begin, which is similar believer or beginner level teachings. Overall, you'll be able to find everything you're looking for by visiting my website, that being caveofmystery.org. I love y'all. Until next time, y'all be blessed. Later.